My name is Karen Blank, and right now I'm a student intern for the University of Rochester Medical Center. But I'm working specifically on their partnership with the YMCA. And then we'll give it even just a little more specific and tell you that I'm here at the 3 urban Ys, so Lewis Street, Thurston Road, and Maplewood. And I know you guys have seen me around. I've come and done questionnaires with you, and you guys have been so gracious to me. I thank you so much. So today, I'm here to present the monthly education session, and it's called The Simple Approaches to Balancing the Act of Activity, Nutrition, and Weight Management. So it's really what we couple underneath healthy living. So it's a healthy living presentation. I'll take that for you.
Thank you.
All right. So, oops, sorry.
Thank you.
So healthy living presentation. And what that means is we're going to have a great conversation. So it's not going to be me just talking at you, but a chance for you to interact and give some ideas too to the group, because we can all learn from each other. Yes. All right. So I know most of you know that I am an old 22-year career Y gal. So I've worked for the Y for a long, long time, which is actually how I was introduced to this internship. And yes, at the ripe age of almost 62, I'm going to graduate from college in a few short weeks. Never too late. You told me that the last time, and I was so happy about that. Thank you. You inspire me, all of you. So that's what I'm doing here today. So we're going to look at the simple approaches, but I thought we'd get started getting to know each other a little bit. Now, I'm going to come up next to you, or at least close to you if you decide you'd like to speak, because I do have a microphone on today, and we want to hear what you have to say as well. So there's one little game that I like to play for us to get to know each other, and it's about your car story, your first car. Generally speaking, people have a first car story. Not everybody, but some people have a first car story. I'll go first so that you can get the kind of idea of what I'm looking for. So my name is Karen, and my first car was a 1976 Chevy Impala. It was red, bright red, with a black Landau top. Does everybody remember Landau tops? Mm-hmm. They were so sharp, and it was a big boat of a car. Yeah, they don't make cars like that anymore. They don't. I loved this car. We weren't allowed to get cars until we graduated from high school. My father would not allow us to have cars until we graduated from high school because we had to be able to pay for them ourselves. And even if we were working part-time, he didn't want to take a chance that we wouldn't get on the school bus and go to school, so we had to wait till we graduated. That car was fantastic. I loved it. However, everywhere I parked it, somebody hit it. And they told, even the insurance company told me that red cars generally cost a little bit more to insure because they're so bright, people are looking at them, and they hit them. Yep. And by the time that I got rid of this car, the bumper was tied back up because somebody smashed into that. There was dents all over it. It was just time to get another car. So that's my first car story. Would anyone like to share a first car story with us? Does anyone have one? Yes, please do.
I had a Chevy Vega.
Oh, a Vega.
It was a nice car, sports car. And I wouldn't pay attention to the gas gauge on it. So I said, I'm driving my dad to my wedding. Oh. Well, I get to the corner and go, poof, poof. And it ran out of gas. My father said, what the hell do you think that E stood for? I said, enough.
Oh my God, that is great. Yep. Were you late for your wedding? I have to know.
No.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. That's a great car story. Is there anyone else that wouldn't mind sharing?
I don't drive, so I never had a car.
Okay.
My first car was, I don't know what year it was an Oldsmobile. My brother gave it to me, and it had 2 exhaust pipes on it. And everybody know when I left home, you know.
They could hear you? I love that. That's good. Blue Oldsmobile. Oh, man. Yeah. Doesn't get any better than that. Anybody else?
When I got out of high school, I ended up with a 2-wheel car called a bicycle.
A 2-wheel car, a bicycle.
I never had a bike when I was a kid, so I was out of school, and now I can motor around and grocery shop. But my real car came when I was 27, and I got an older secondhand car.
Sure.
It had 84,000 miles on it.
Right.
But they were good mileage, they told me, because they traveled highway.
Highway.
They
Oh,
went
yeah,
back
I
and forth
remember
to Georgia
that.
to family members. So I love that car.
Oh, nice. See?
Yeah.
Couple of good stories. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else? I'm gonna go
I
on.
drive it, and my dad had a red car with the white top, but it was a Buick. And he started teaching me how to drive, and I backed into the poles that be for parking.
It wasn't a good situation.
Anymore for about a year. Because you was in trouble. My dad was so upset, but I finally made it through. I haven't had an accident since.
Nice. Oh, well, that's good to know.
I have not.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else have a story?
I guess I can share mine.
Please.
My first car was a Cadillac, and it was one of the fanciest gold color Cadillacs that you can have. I believe it was, I think it was 1968.
Oh, we're talking pretty here.
And me and my sister, we put our money together, and we had just got our license, and so we bought the Cadillac and we shared it, and it was the whole family. I had 3 kids, and she had 3 kids, so we could pile them all in that Cadillac and go to the park. But we had a blast.
Oh,
on that
that's
car.
wonderful.
And we were cruising just like how now if they had that Cadillac, they would be cruising that big boat. Yes. Because that's what it was, a huge boat. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah, and you had to lean down, put your arm up on the wheel,
Actually,
one arm out the window.
Actually, I had to use pillows to bring me up.
Oh,
to
to
the
get you up
steering-
close enough.
Close enough to the steering wheel because it was such a big car.
Oh, yeah.
And my sister was tall, so she could drive really good. It fit her really well. Me, I had to use pillows and move myself up, and one behind and one sitting out so I could be able to see out. Yeah, it was amazing.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Would anyone else like to tell a first car story? Oh, yes,
First
please.
car story, but my car's only 2 years old next month.
Okay.
Last night, I'm backing out. I'm already late, supposed to be there at 6. It's now 6:15. Get to the end of the driveway. Where's my glasses? Drive back into the garage. I leave the motor on because my phone is charging. And I put the electric garage door down halfway so nobody can come in and take my car while it's running. Running, blah, blah, blah. Don't find the glasses. Come back. There's the glasses in the car. So I raised the garage door, but I didn't raise it all the way. Backed out, hit the garage door.
Oh, no!
So, Jim, you don't want to get in the car with me again.
Thank you for sharing that. We're sorry you had a tough evening, for crying out loud. All right, well, thank you so much, you guys, for sharing some stories. It's a way we just kind of break the ice. So yeah, just talk a little bit and find out, because it's fun to hear some of the funny stories. I have a bunch of scenarios like that I use in the beginning. But we'll move on now with our presentation. So let's talk about what this is going to look like in the next 45 minutes or so. We did our introduction, so we've talked a little bit with each other. We're going to look at the idea of activity, either the idea of activity or the idea of inactivity. So we're going to look at activity. We're going to talk about nutrition, just change some ideas. And I want to learn some ideas from all of you, some ways that you keep up with nutrition and how you do that and that sort of thing. And then we'll have a snack demo. So I've got a little bit of a snack over here that we're going to make, and I do have recipes. What's that?
Come anytime.
Oh, yes, snacks. We got to have snacks. I know. I'm a big believer. So we'll have a snack, and it's just a healthy snack that's pretty reasonable, just a couple of items at the grocery store, not too bad. And then we'll talk a little bit about weight management, not much, but a little bit about weight management. And then we will be finished, or we will have the finale for today's presentation. So I thank you so much for coming. and being here with us, especially on such a sunny afternoon. It's not always easy to be inside on a sunny afternoon, all right? But let's talk about activity. When you hear that word, what do you think about for activity?
Walking.
Walking. What else? Raking. There's a lot of that going on this time of year, huh? What else? House cleaning. Okay. Sleeping.
Sweeping.
Did you say sweeping or sleeping?
Sleeping.
You know what? I don't know. I'm going to have to watch you because you thought E was enough, so I'm not sure. What's that? Vacuuming. I'll just say it from here when you guys say it.
Dancing.
Dancing. Yeah, come on, dancing. All right? So we think of all of these different things, and it sounds like some of these things are just part of our everyday. It's not like we go off to the gym to just get on the treadmill, right? Or we go, and I'm not by far poo-pooing that. I love all of it. I love being active, and I've loved exercise for almost 40 years now. I've been involved in health and well-being. But it sounds like there's a lot of different ways that you find activity, and I love dancing. I have a client that puts her earplugs in the morning, and to get her blood flowing in the morning after breakfast, she puts music on and she dances around her kitchen. She just dances all around her kitchen and gets a little extra activity that way.
Washing dishes and stuff, you just.
Yeah, put some music on and move. They had music on when I first came in, and you know, I found myself, I found myself wanting to move around to it. Music is a very motivating piece, especially for those of us that like it, or, right, yeah, better mood. So music puts us in a better mood. Moving does that same thing, right?
Yes.
Do you think, so you just gave me some ways to get into activity. The opposite end of that is there things that go on for us that pull us away from activity? And what are some of those things? What stops you in your tracks from
Pain in my body.
pain in my body? I hurt.
I hurt.
Yep. So some days are better than others, right? Some days it's hard, and some days, you do what you can, and then other days, woo, you got to just take a break. What else stops you in your tracks from being active?
The telephone.
TV.
TV. All right? Television, a good show or a good what? Now we have all these shows, right? We can watch them forever. What do they call that? Binging on shows?
Yeah.
Right? So you can binge watch shows. What else keeps you away from being active? So not feeling great, being maybe in some pain, television. Too tired. Just too tired. Not feeling it that particular day. All right, perfect. All right, so the idea is, all right, so we've got some issues around being active, what it is, and now you have a paper in front of you, all right? On one side it has a bunch of pictures, and it gives you an explanation of what physical activity intensity levels looks like, all right? That's just a pictorial trying to show you what things might look like if they were light, moderate, or vigorous. If you can flip that over and take a couple minutes, just check off those questions. You do not have to put your ID or your date at the end of that. That was from something before. But I want you to assess your own activity. So this is a chance for us to look at how active are we? And then we're going to walk through this, and I'm going to have you score each of yours and add them up. It's just going to give you a picture. This is not a test. This is just what we call an assessment for you to take a look at. Gee, I'm more active than I thought I was. Or, whew, maybe I'm not active enough. But that's all perceptual, right? You get to decide what that looks like. We all know we should be active, right? It's healthy for us to keep moving along. But there's things that get in the way, so we have to be real about that as well. Somebody else decides for you, right?
I love it.
Yeah, you don't have to choose. That's great.
And others are suffering with you.
It's nice to suffer together, isn't it?
Yeah, I do too. I got weights at home and a stretch bands.
Beautiful. So I see a few pencils still up. So if you just set your pencil down when you're done, you're going to pick it back up, but it'll just give me a chance to make sure everyone's at least almost done. And I see some are almost on the last question, so we'll move on in just a moment. All right, so I'll start to explain. So you're going to give yourself, all right, 1 point, all right, for sedentary, all right? So you're going to give yourself a point for every, when I ask you, did you answer yes or no to this question, you're going to give yourself a point if you answered the way this assessment says. Does that make sense? I just explained it 3 different ways. Are you clear as mud? Right? All right, I'll walk you through it. All right, so for the first one, the first question is, I rarely or never do any physical activity. If that's a yes, you don't get any points. If that's a no, you get a point. Okay? Just put a 1 next to it. You win always, because you're here. All right, the next one is, I do some light or moderate physical activities, but not every week. If it's a yes, give yourself a point. If it's a no, don't give yourself a point. All right?
What? I think I answered these questions wrong because I should have gotten a point there.
Well, then give yourself a point. I am never going to look at that
I
paper.
had to read the questions like 3 times.
It can be a little sticky. So if you feel like you answered wrong and I just gave you that, give yourself a point. This is your paper. It's not mine. This is just for you to take a look at your own activity. And you know what? If scoring this makes you upset and you just want to look at the paper, you can do that too. I am very open to let everybody be who they are. All right, the next question is, I do some light physical activity every week. If that's a yes, give yourself a point. You get where this is going, right? If you're answering no to most questions, you're getting a 0. So, and then the next question is, and I'll keep going, I do moderate physical activities every week, but less than 30 minutes a day or 5 days a week. All right, if that's a yes, give yourself a point. If you see the ways this is going and you want to jump ahead, you can totally do that. I do vigorous physical activity every week, but less than 20 minutes a day or 3 days a week. If you answered yes, give yourself a point. We're almost there. Yep, and then the next one is, I do 30 minutes or more a day of moderate physical activities, 5 or more days a week. All right, if it's a yes, give yourself a point. If it's a no, don't. This isn't meaning that you're bad or good. This is just for you to take a look. You know, isn't it terrible when we give somebody a paper and a pencil, we think, oh my God, they're testing me. I don't want to be tested. Okay. And then we've got the next one. I do 20 minutes or more a day of vigorous physical activities, 3 or more days a week. If you answered yes, give yourself a point. And then the last 2, if you answered yes to both of them, all right, yes to both of them, you're going to give yourself 3 points. Look at that. Do you know why? Because muscular strength and flexibility is amazing for us, especially as we age. So when she makes you lift weights on Friday, she is your friend. She is totally your friend.
Makes us work.
I know it doesn't feel like that.
She's a very good instructor.
She is. She is. She came through our aerobic instructor training some years ago, which was a program that me and some other friends at the Y ran for years. And we would turn our members into group exercise instructors, and she was a star. She was, for sure. All right, so if you have over 6 points, you're moving in the right direction. If you have over 6 points, you're moving in the right direction, and you're active enough.
Woo,
all right?
13 points.
So you're doing it. You should be very proud of yourself. All right? So you're letting, yeah. So you're not letting some of the things, right, that we talked about get in the way, okay? All right. let's talk about the trickiest piece, right, of the being healthy puzzle, which is nutrition, all right? So what is eating all about? Why do we eat? Why do we eat? And you could just shout them out.
Energy.
Energy. Why else? Say it again.
Nutrition.
Nutrition.
All your vitamins.
All your vitamins. What else?
It's fun.
It's fun. I was looking for some of those ones. Do we always eat just because it's good for us?
No.
Right? Yeah, well. Say it again.
Stress.
Stress.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let's get some of those in the room. I want to hear your voice. Yeah.
Because you're hungry.
Hungry. Yeah, hunger. Does hunger always drive us to eat?
No.
No.
It's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's on the table.
Temptation.
It's on
Yep.
the table, whether you're hungry or
Temptation.
not.
Right.
Temptation of food.
I have
Right.
no problem.
So if you
Absolutely.
walk by some Cheetos and you see some corn chips next to it, which one would you pick? You gotta get one.
I love that. I love that. So having something out and being available can be a little bit tricky. All right. So there's a lot of different reasons we eat. What about our families, our culture?
Oh.
Oh, sure. Social.
I'm
parties.
sorry.
Social parties. Yeah.
I can't get rid of rice for nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
And you shouldn't.
Love rice too.
I mean, you shouldn't.
We
You
grew
shouldn't.
up like that.
That's right. That's part of you. That's part of who you are, for sure.
It's in your blood.
It's in your blood. Yeah.
Exactly.
How many of us create meals for holidays, right? And let's face it, some of our loved ones aren't with us anymore, right?
Yeah.
And so we cook what they made.
Yes.
Because that's tradition.
We do.
That's tradition. The best day in my life can be when I pull my mom's little card box out, because she's no longer with us, and open it up and cook something that's in the box, right? Makes me feel better. That's not about hunger. That's not about hunger. So we eat for a lot of different reasons. Can we agree on that?
Yes, we do.
Right, for sure. So what are some tricks? So we heard when there's, what did you say, a fruit bowl and then the chips? Yeah, what are you going to pick?
No, cheesies. and-
Chips.
Cheesies and corn chips. Which one?
I was listening.
Which one? I went far to the other end.
I wanted to know where they were.
Right.
Right by the fruit. I
Right,
hate
so,
that.
yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that. There's got to be some tricks of the trade, right? So how do we not just eat all the things, right? All the things that look so good to us all the time. How do we moderate? How do we keep that in the middle? Because today's class is about balance. Say it again.
A little bit.
Eating a little bit. So nothing is off limits. Nothing is off limits, but we eat a little bit. I love that idea. Yeah, I love that. And do you eat more frequently throughout the day because you eat smaller meals? That's another thing that's very, very good. That's why everyone thinks snacking's not bad. It's how much we eat at a snack, right? But if you're eating littler amounts, a lot of times it's said to be healthy. But cutting out the things that make us happy and bring us joy is not the answer. It's finding out how do we get around that. So now that I've heard correctly, I'm going to go back to the cheesies and the chips. All right? So what do you think a good piece for that is? Eating them right out of the bag, or putting some of them in a bowl, putting the bag away in the cupboard and walking away? What do we do? Yeah. I don't know about you, but small bowl. So there's this thing, everyone wants to get fancy. You hear this out there, right? Measure your macros. Well, you got to know what macros are before you measure them, right? Yeah. But it's the bits of food. So could you do it with calories? Should we measure calories? All the experts are saying not so much anymore. We need to learn how to live our lives and moderate things. If you have a disease or something that you're looking to get better from, it's probably a good idea to watch what your macros are, which are only proteins, carbohydrates, fats. That's all they are. They make it sound fancy. But that trick of putting some in a bowl, putting a handful in a bowl, all right, and putting them away works a little bit better than us sitting there. Now, I know what you're thinking, because I'm thinking it. They're in the cupboard.
Peggy, I'm here.
Yeah. She called to me. So, but the idea is the more often that you do that, the more satisfied you become with that smaller amount, knowing, right? Knowing that you're not saying, well, I'm on a diet, I can't eat those. How many of you have said that to yourselves over the years? I'm on a diet, I can't eat that. Right?
I don't believe in dieting.
Oh, please, say it louder. Say it louder so everybody can hear. Does not believe in
I
dieting.
don't believe in dieting. I believe in enjoying food, and that's my culture. And what I've done is moderize my portions, and so to be able to control myself, instead of buying a big Cheeto bag, I buy the small little packages that they sell now, the boxes.
Perfect.
I have one of those maybe once a week, and I can choose in between which one I want. So that's what how I moderize.
It's an excellent idea.
Buying a huge bag, because if you sit down and eat that huge bag, you're gonna keep going back to it.
Yeah.
So it's best to buy the smaller bags, and that's what I've done.
See?
And so far as chocolate, I've learned to moderize on that also. So what I do is if I have like a sugar rush thing that I want sugar, I have one piece of chocolate. So instead of buying a chocolate bar, I buy the little small ones that come in little packages, and I open one.
Perfect.
I think mine's in the freezer.
In the freezer. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Because when I want chocolate, the little pieces, I put them in the freezer. They last longer when you're in the freezer.
Okay.
Okay? And I could go in there anytime I want to when I, like you said, have a sugar rush and eat it.
Okay, perfect. So in the freezer.
I put them in the freezer.
So these are all little ideas how we don't tell ourselves we can't have anything. Do you know, and I love that you said that right out of the gate, don't believe in dieting. And you know what? Diets don't work. Diets don't generally work. They work sometimes for a period of time, but whenever, and I want you to do this, as customers, as people who are out there buying products and hearing what people say, I want you to question anybody that tells you you have to cut out a whole food group. You know the revolution. The revolution is don't eat carbohydrates. The other revolution is this idea of intermittent fasting or control our eating. No, it's up here. It is really up here. It is. And we talk about, when we're talking to people about, people who have issues and want to lose weight, and they have all kinds of medical concerns too because of the weight, teaching them how to live and how to moderate in their food choices is a much better idea than putting them on a huge calorie reduction program. Now, I'm not here to bang diets or hit diets, but there's one thing that all of that confusing information has in common out there. And one of them is that even though they all talk about it in a different way, they're in a calorie deficit. If you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight, whether you only eat for a certain window, whether you don't eat a certain food. But is that the most healthful thing for the body? And we're talking about health here. We're talking about nutrition and how it fits into being healthy, not how it fits into weight loss. So it's not healthy for us to cut foods out. So that's what we're talking about a little bit. So I wanted to bring to light a couple of things. Is food really expensive right now?
Yes.
It's crazy what we're paying in the grocery store. I never thought in a million years I would see a dozen eggs at their highest point. It's $7.99. I love eggs. But I didn't love them so much at $7.99.
Milk is $5.
Yeah, crazy. So we're paying a lot more. So I've shared this a lot in my Y programs that I've done. Healthy Weight in Your Child is one of them. It's a family program where we teach people. We don't really teach them. We facilitate how they get their families on a healthier path. And one of the things that we really talk about is, the idea of eating fresh foods, right? So the outside of the grocery store, okay, the outside of the grocery store has your most healthiest foods. You've got produce, you've got dairy, you've got all those things going around, right? Now, I understand this. They're not all cost efficient for every single family. So I wanted to look at some ideas of how do we do that. One of the things that's great about this neighborhood is the public market, right? Yeah, so you can get things really inexpensively and lots of fresh foods and that sort of thing. But then there's the next piece of that is, do you not like to cook? Or do you not know how to cook? Or do you not want to cook? You know, sometimes folks get retired. They're like, I cooked my whole life. I'm done. You know, I don't want to cook anymore. Or maybe you're cooking for less people or cooking just for yourself. Those things change how we look at it. However, so fresh is always going to be best first, right? But there's a secondary piece to this that's pretty inexpensive, and that's frozen vegetables and frozen fruits. Now, I know frozen fruits don't have the same texture. However, all right, we live in an area where fresh produce is only this big of the whole calendar year, right? So the rest of the year, when we're buying it at the grocery store and we're starting to pay a little bit more for money, we're not buying the freshest then. We're buying the freshest when it is produced here, right? And after that, we start to get stuff that's coming on trucks, right? And they're coming from other places. And so they're on the shelf a lot longer. Yes. How many of you have taken something home and went, yeah, it's gone already? My greens went bad already? You know, like, yeah. So I sometimes want to take them back. I want to go, these are broken.
The grapes don't taste the same.
Yeah, right? So frozen is the next best bet, because oftentimes frozen is froze right away. Yes. It's frozen right away. And where you go, I think Aldi's, their bags of vegetables, 79 cents.
Yep, Aldi's.
So I promised I did this over at Maplewood, and I promised that I would put this together and I would bring it here if I'm so able to do that. I cook a ton with frozen vegetables in the winter. They're a lot less expensive, and I'd like to do a presentation where we cook a whole meal with frozen vegetables and show you it can be done, and it can be done dirt cheap. Mm-hmm. All right? So there's a lot of different ideas around that. Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah, it's because that's useful, right? Yeah. It's useful. So I'm going to pause right now because it's that time, healthy snack demo. All right, I'm going to go over here and make a healthy snack, and then I'll put cups out, and you folks can go ahead and get up and grab those, and then we'll finish up our presentation. Now, this today, if you want to just turn around this way a little bit, this today, all right, is simply a box of Frosted Mini Wheats cereal. Now, I bought the little bites because sometimes those bigger ones without something to drink can be a little bit cumbersome, all right? So it's a box of cereal, and I have the recipes. I'm not gonna measure today. All right, I'm just gonna dump. All right, and I'm not touching any of the food. I don't have my hands on. All right, but I will find a pair of gloves. We probably have some available somewhere. Okay, I'll find a pair when I go to serve and put them in the cups. So I used chopped walnuts. You could use any nut you like. That's the fun part of this. You could use anything you wanted, but it's kind of a little sweet and a little savory and a lot crunchy. So it kind of hits some of those areas in our mouth that we're looking for in order to have a nice snack, right? Now, is anyone in here allergic to coconut? I'm always a little hesitant with coconut. Is everyone okay with coconut? Show of hands, you'd be okay with coconut? Yeah. Okay, all right. So I'm going to put about a cup of the raisins in, and then about a cup of the craisins. And again, I'll pass these out to you at the end.
They're like cranberries.
Yeah. And then we'll drop a little bit of coconut in. Coconut is actually, well, you know what? Every week, right, they change the plants, right? So first coffee wasn't bad for us, and then coffee was bad for us. It's back being good for us now, okay? But that's the same thing with like coconut and coconut oil. You know what the real problem is? You know why all that stuff comes out? I'll be honest with you, because we read tons and tons of research on all of this stuff. And you know what? The reality of when things go in and out of being healthy is the way we use them. So we think, right? Does anybody remember the low-fat craze? I think it was in the 90s. You could eat as many bagels as you wanted.
Right.
As many bagels as you wanted. Bagels were healthy, so you could eat as many bagels as you wanted, right? Well,
No butter.
yeah, yeah, you could eat. So that probably was okay for us to have a bagel, all right? But then you have people that may have diabetes or type 2 diabetes, right? And they're eating all of these bagels, and sometimes bagels have a higher sugar content than a donut. So, but it was the low-fat craze. So it was us who said, we can eat bagels every day. They're healthy for you now, all right? So you've got to look at everything quite individually. And then I just give it a stir. Now, when I make this at home, I do keep it in a big bowl, because in a Tupperware bowl it'll stay good. And I won't lie, my husband usually uses this. He usually uses this for cereal because he likes the nuts in it and the fruit, and he says it keeps him full a long time. So he's feeling pretty good about that. All right. Did you say there was gloves up there?
There was some gloves.
Oh, that would be a good topping for yogurt, yeah.
We got, right behind them, isn't that the clubs right there?
Oh, thank you.
They're in there. They're in here?
I'm sorry. I should have gotten them out before. I could probably do it without touching it.
You looking for gloves?
Yes, we had a box here, but they're gone.
I'm good. I'll be very careful. I'll be very careful not to touch. I'm okay. Yeah, I'll just be very careful. I'm just touching the bottom and I'm using a spoon. Thank you. All right, so whenever you'd like, come on up and get a cup of snacks if you'd like some. All right?
I'll have to take 3 of them.
Sure. Oh, you're very lovely.
You couldn't find no big one there for
Formally inviting you to become a member of the fairy grandparents.
Oh, I love you. And I just might do that. I'm going to keep coming.
I buy the low sugar.
Oh, I didn't know they had them.
Ocean Spray makes one that's
Oh, I'm going to have to look. Has everyone gotten one? Okay. Here, let me top that one off. Okay. Oh, yeah, you need a little more fruit on that one. Okay. There you go. Anyone else? Everybody okay? Oh, yep.
Everybody got one?
Everybody okay? Would you like one, ma'am?
No, they don't want any.
Okay. All right.
One more.
Oh, one more.
I'll have one. Make that 2 more.
All right. So just a little snack as we wrap up. All right. Something easy, something quick, and fairly inexpensive. I know the nuts can be a little bit expensive right now. All right. Do you enjoy that? Okay, good. All right. So let's just touch on weight here for a minute, because I think it's always the trickiest spot. But I always add it in because it's kind of like the 3 components, and it's something for us to think about. So tell me how you feel about weight. Do you feel like there's too much emphasis on it? Do you feel like you're always struggling with it? Would anybody be willing to share what you think about weight? Too much of it. I think you look great. Yeah, you have a different perspective for us, and I thank you so much for sharing that with the group.
Loose measurement.
Loose measurement.
How you are, of your weight.
Of how you are, right? The scale, I will tell you, the scale is your relationship to gravity, right? That's the number we're seeing. And have you ever that number, people sometimes get hung up on that number. Have you ever been in a place where you get hung up on the number you're currently at with your weight?
I know what.
Tell us.
I don't like going to my doctor because every time they weigh me, even though I lose weight, he still marks obesity.
Yeah, I hate that.
I hate that.
At the weight you are, they don't put so much that they put obesity. And I say, to me, that's a person who is really, really big.
Right.
But yeah, that's what they're calling me.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do that all
And
the time.
do you ever talk to them about that?
No. Because I know I'm not obese.
No. You know, I think what you're seeing is, so they take your height and weight, right? And there's a mathematical equation. I usually use this BMI calculator that gives me the calculation because I'm not that great at math. But what they're showing you is a very, very tough, strict guideline. It is. It is a very strict guideline because it's like the square root of something in between your height and your weight. And most people, even people that are very fit, right, fall into the obesity and overweight guideline because we have more weight on us because we're bigger, we lift weights and that sort of thing. So I think that a conversation with your doc about that. Okay, what are you saying now? Do you think I should lose weight? What are you saying? Or I feel pretty good, and I'm, tell them about how active you are. Tell them about the tricks of the trade that you use for your nutrition. So I think BMI in itself is it's a baseline. It's a baseline that they use for a lot of different things, right? For people and for things. But it doesn't really describe the person exactly. So I hope sharing that with you a little bit helps, because that's what they're showing you is your BMI. And there is a thing. I mean, we do know that obesity in America is an epidemic. It is an epidemic, for some of the same reasons that we talked about in activity. So this is where we start to tie it all together, right? So we talked about in activity, TV. We could scoot out from TV and talk about phones for some of us that have our phones, and we play games on that phone, or we do this on that phone or that on that phone. So we're spending a lot more time in that seated place. Then let's add into the equation what the last 3 years were like, folks, right? I mean, you've all come back and you're together here, and it just warms my heart. It's fantastic. But that was hard the first couple years, right? Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I sat a lot more during that time. There was a whole lot less to do, and there was a lot of fear associated too. So I think that changed us, and I think that's what we look at. But weight is kind of just the piece all in between. Stay active. Eat the best you can, enjoy your cultural foods, your family foods, and do the best you can. I love, again, I'm gonna point to this beautiful young lady again, because you said about putting a little bit on the plate. When you go to a buffet, that's one of the first thing we teach families. First, eat the things you don't usually get every day. Like if they're a special holiday food, grab that and have some of that. But try a little bit of everything instead of piling up. And then maybe you have a one plate rule. It kind of depends on how big the plate is. Right? But if you do that, that's a way to enjoy all the things that you want in moderation. Okay? So I just put some active people, but I loved this because we're talking about in the beginning, nutrition is energy in, right? And exercise is energy out. And what we're looking for, especially at these beautiful tender years of our lives, all right, is the balance in between there and being able to stay healthy for as long as you can. Stay in your homes, play with your children, your families, all that sort of thing, grandchildren, and be able to live your life to the best of your ability because you worked hard your whole life, right? And it's that time, it's your time. Perfect. All right, so bringing it all together, I kind of already did that, but I really loved this picture of the stones in the water and the balance. Life is a balancing act, isn't it? It's not only a balancing act with this whole piece surrounding nutrition and weight and activity, but it's a balancing act around our whole life, around everything that we do, and trying to find that balance. And that's really what I wanted to kind of reach out and do with you today, is kind of just, let you take a look at your activity, talk about what you're all doing as far as nutrition, and talk a little bit about weight management and how that weighs on us, if you'll pardon that expression, right? And then just kind of look at putting it all together. All right, final thoughts and questions. Do you have any? Anything we didn't cover?
I must talk nonstop.
Yeah.
One of the biggest eye-openers to me was 10, 15 years ago. I'm at a party. My cousin's daughters are sitting at the table with me, these beautiful young girls. And I'm looking at my plate. I mean, all that good stuff on the buffet, right?
It's hard not to.
I'm looking at their plate. And I can see the plate in between some of their... And I thought, they can't survive on that. So now I tend to do that when I'm eating with others. I look at how much is on their plate, and I look at how much is on my plate. I've discovered you can survive with this.
Right, so you're going to leave a little space, like a little space on your plate.
I don't go
not
back a
that
second.
much, yeah.
And I don't pile up.
You know what yeah.
I'm not that bad.
That's great. So don't pile up. I love that, because here I'm thinking, well, they didn't use their plate to their best advantage. But there's just little ways. But don't give up all the wonderful things that you love. Just learn how to moderate it and balance it. So any other questions or thoughts from anybody?
Can I make a comment? It's going back to what
Please.
you said earlier. I myself, I've always been a little bit of overweight. Big boned, I called it, yeah.
They called me that when I was little.
And it was advice from our old family doctor when I was a kid and a teenager. He said, you want a diet, eat a little bit less of everything. So you got to really put your mind, actually eat, not fool yourself, oh, well, I eat a little bit of this, but you eat a little bit of, he says, eat everything you enjoy, eat a little bit less. Obviously, if you eat less, you're going to, and again, you cannot, you think, gee, I've been on this for a week and I'm still the same weight. It takes time, all right? But for me, it worked, and I'm trying to do that again now because I'm
That's awesome.
pre-diabetic, and the doctor told me I got to lose weight. I've had other family members. I mean, we were 7 kids. Out of 7 kids, 4 were diabetic.
Oh,
So
that's...
and I know it's not inherited, right? They say, but it tends to run, and so I want to really be careful with what I'm eating. I mean, sometimes I'm naughty, bad, but
Don't you ever say that. You're not naughty or bad based on anything you eat.
Okay.
All right? Just sometimes you indulge.
you indulge. Okay, that's
You
good.
indulge.
Hamburger, just eat it.
But eat a
No,
little
but-
bit less. That's
but-
a great way to be right
No,
there
it
in the
is.
middle. It's
And-
awesome.
again, and you got to give it time. You can't expect,
It-
it's a month and I've only lost a pound.
Yeah, and those crash things don't work. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Are we good? Everybody's good? Thank you so much for allowing me to be here with all of you guys. Thank you. I love every minute of it. Every minute. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.